Whether you're a skeptic or a believer, join me, Rob McConnell, as together we'll investigate the world of the paranormal and the science of parapsychology here on the X-Zone Radio TV show on XZBN and the X-Zone TV channel on Simul TV. Since 1990, the X-Zone Radio TV show has been the place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard. Together, we'll investigate UFOs, aliens, ghosts, Bigfoot, psychic phenomenon, lake monsters, conspiracy theories, government cover-ups, the truth embargo, alien abductions, ESP, haunted locations from around the world, and so much more. With over 28 years of broadcasting and more than 4,500 individual guests, the X-Zone is truly a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality, as evidenced by the credibility, integrity, and professionalism of the guests that we bring to our international audience. If you have seen a UFO, had a close encounter, seen a ghost, Bigfoot, lake monster, or a story that you would like to share or have investigated, contact me, Rob McConnell, by sending me your email to xzone@xzoneradiotv.com, or you can call toll-free 1-800-610-7035, extension 143, and on Skype, X-Zone Radio TV. For more information on the X-Zone Radio TV show with yours truly, Rob McConnell, visit www.xzoneradiotv.com or www.xzonetvchannel.com or simultv.com and xzbn.net. Until next we meet here in the X-Zone from our broadcast center and studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, always remember, X-Zone Nation, keep your eyes to the sky and your heart in the light.
Know the genius in you, where in a single moment you can recognize your brilliance and change your life. This is a transformational hour that covers an array of topics that demonstrate how individuals use their native talents when we look at their name to look at the ordinary in extraordinary ways. Now, Albert Einstein once said that everybody's a genius. Why would one of the smartest people on the planet declare that everyone is a genius unless he knew that to be true? I'm your host, Sharon Lynn Wyatt, creator of Namology Science and author of Know the Name, Know the Person. In each weekly show, you get to hear the fascinating ways that other people have discovered the genius in themselves and what they were able to accomplish. At the end of every show, you hear clues on how you can recognize your own innate genius. Now, all over the world, many people have many diverse interests. And in that vein, people have asked about different occupations, different areas of life that have highly interested them. People want to know how highly successful people have managed to achieve their genius mindset when they utilize the gifts that are seen in their name when we use namology science. So how does someone express their creative talents, and how does someone share those gifts with others in such a way that everybody benefits? Our expert tonight is Avis Attaway, who has developed her genius in the area of success. Now, Dr. Avis Attaway is a speaker, an author, and a performance success strategist who has helped thousands of people reach their goals in business and in life. She had a thriving practice as a marriage and family therapist for over 25 years. And in 2008, she founded and became the executive director of a nonprofit therapeutic training center, which offers affordable counseling to her community. Understanding the blocks to success and how people can permanently change at the deepest levels has been a driving force in Dr. Avis Attaway's career and life. Now, her expertise in human behavior and motivation is rooted in her many thousands of hours spent helping clients and informed by her doctorate in clinical psychology. In order to help her accomplish this mission, she wrote the book, and able to really help other people accomplish what she's doing, she wrote the book, The Image Maker, Transforming Your Life from the Inside Out. She's also trained in hypnotherapy and other healing energy modalities, and is a Reiki master and a shamanic practitioner. Now, Avis's mission is to help individuals achieve freedom from their self-imposed limitations and to discover their core self so they can live out their true purpose and potential. Welcome to Know the Name, Know the Genius in You radio show, Avis.
Thanks so much, Sharon. It's great to be here.
Well, we're in such a place in our world right now where flexibility is so vital, Avis. What do you say to someone who says, this is just who I am and I can't change?
Well, I laugh, Sharon, because, that's where I was at one time, where I actually believed that the way I felt about myself and about my life and what I perceived were my limitations was just what it was to be me. I thought this is just me. And I have learned over the years of working with so many people that actually what we think is us is actually a whole lot of what I call overlays of experiences that are pressing down on top of our true self, our core self, that we have come to believe defines us, defines the world around us, defines our relationships, and we interpret that as who we are, when in fact, who we are is like a ball of energy at our core that really doesn't have limitations.
Steph, well, I happen to think that our names happen to describe who we are pretty clearly, but most people
I love that.
use their names. So
yeah. I love that when we first spoke and you told me about that. See, I don't think, because I have a strong spiritual background around all of this, I don't think that name is an accident. And I love what you're doing, because that's an insight for people into the fact that they are so much more than what they think they are.
yes, I happen to think so. And I think it's wonderful to meet somebody and be able to immediately know who you're talking with. So Avis, how do you help people who have had a bad experience that was in the past, but they can't seem to get past their past? I mean, I always joke, and I remember after getting divorced, I had this big sign in my house that literally said, let my past be my past and remain the past.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a constant reminder to me. So how do you help people get over that? Or I would say, instead of getting over it, reframe it.
Well, the reframe is a good way to put it. And I think that it just sort of depends on where a person is stuck and at what level they're stuck. There's so many people walking around that are really just believing things that just simply are not true. And so the first of the 3 steps that I use with people, excuse me, is to help them change their awareness, to actually come to the realization that their life is really an expression of who they are, and that you've got to start with discovering who you truly are at your core. And there's a lot of ways to get about that, but you can't really just sit down and think that through in an afternoon. I mean, that's a start, but really discover.
So what is 1 or 2 ways of getting down to who we really are? How do you help somebody do that?
I help somebody by helping them to become quiet and actually what I call getting into their body. And by that, it's just a series of relaxation processes that I walk them through that help them to actually focus on what's going on the inside. Mostly, I think, Sharon, people are attempting to block what they're experiencing on the inside, their feelings, sensations in their body that feels like anxiety or perhaps feels like depression, that we spend an enormous amount of energy actually trying to get away from our physical experience, away from our emotional experience, out of our body. We go running around seeking activities to drown that out. And the key really, I mean, this is what the ancients have taught about meditation or mindfulness. It's really turning inward and learning to sit with what comes up. And as you sit with what comes up, you discover that it's not threatening. You discover that there's a reconnection that happens that allows you to feel at some very deep level like you've come home. And so that's absolutely the first place that we start, because the running around that people do is really just an escape from what the experiences are. And the emotions that we have are really our body's messaging system to tell us what we need to do. So, for example, when a person is feeling fearful, that's the body's way of sending signals to tell you that you should run, you should get out of here. Or anger is to, push back or fight back if you need to protect yourself. Turning inward is, the sadness around grief that tells you to kind of regroup and take care of yourself. And too often, as I've said, people are trying to block all those signals, and learning to honor that and sit with that and begin to embrace these messages that are coming up from inside, and to allow them to show you the direction that you need to go to take the highest and best care of yourself.
Now, a lot of people are simply programmed when they're kids with certain belief structures and things that they've heard over and over again. Like, sadly, I've heard parents tell their kids how stupid they are, or how incompetent they are, or whatever, all these negative concepts that I'm sure that child starts believing after a while. So how do you help somebody recognize what those are and then replace them and tell a new story instead?
Well, in hypnotherapy, there is something called the affect bridge. Affect is another word for emotion. And so you can really work with a person's emotional state in the present and use it like a bridge to go back to their earliest experience, to find out what was really happening the first time that they felt that way. And when you're able to identify that initial experience, they call it the initial sensitizing experience. When you get there, then you get to the first time that message was sent through their body and got shut down and compartmentalized, and you open it back up and let it finish. And when you let it finish, it's delivered its message. Its job is done. But so often, like take for your example, your example right there of the child being told they're stupid. Every time that they get that message, there's a zing of pain. So let's just consider a very, very early age in which that child gets that zing of pain because they're getting told by their parent, who they consider to be like a god to them. They're at the beginning, right? They shut down because it's so painful. It hurts so much that just becomes intolerable. And so it gets just kind of compartmentalized and put off to the side, but it's still in there running for, it continues to run in the background. And as it runs in the background, new events will occur, another incident in which the parent says that, or somebody at school says you're stupid, or your teacher, or down the road your boss tells you you're stupid. And all this stuff kind of like, it's like a magnet, it just keeps getting attached to the same place. And so when you go to the original cause, that original sensitizing event, you unpack it at that level, it loses its power because you're no longer trying to keep that compartmentalized and keep that out of sight and away from you. And once you step into the feeling, you're just letting the feeling finish. That's all. And so guiding a person back to that
sound
feeling.
easy when you do it.
What's that?
I said it makes it sound easy the way you describe it.
I know.
Take a break. Stay tuned to Know the Name, Know the Genius in You, which is being heard on xzbn.net, an X-Zone Broadcast Network, and on the website, knowthename.com. Now, after the break, we're going to find out how to change your negative thought pattern so you can create more success in your life. Stay tuned.
It's hard to listen to the news without realizing we're living in volatile, unprecedented times. Yet never has there been such an opportunity to transform the human condition. As old structures fail, where can we find the guidance to co-create a better way? Find Your Path Home is an ever-evolving, leading-edge information, education, and healing resource center designed to support and guide you on your path to unity and enlightenment. Based on sound principles employed by shaman worldwide, we provide techniques that can support you through the current transitions, offering online shamanic classes, international long-distance shamanic healing sessions, complimentary Mission Evolution radio episodes and Stairway to Heaven TV vignettes, seminars, retreats, and much more. All of this can be found on findyourpathhome.com.
So I was watching the X Zone TV channel last night when I was abducted by aliens, and they kept repeating to me over and over again, simultv.com, simultv.com.
What's simultv.com?
That's what I asked them. They had it written on the side of their UFO.
How do you spell that?
UFO.
No, I mean simultv.com.
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 Right. simultv.com.
Interesting that you were abducted by aliens in a simultv.com UFO last night.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Now that you mention it, I remember now last night I was awakened from a deep sleep. My great-grandmother was standing there. She said she'd come from the hereafter to tell me about simultv.com. She even spelled it out for me. simultv.com, sonny boy.
simultv.com.
simultv.com, sonny boy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Guys, you'll never guess what my psychic guru just told me.
simultv.com.
Exactly. Are you guys psychic too?
Of course.
We all know about simultv.com. simultv.com.
Welcome back. I'm Sharon Lynn Wyeth, and you're listening to Know the Name, Know the Genius in You, which is being heard on xzbn.net and knowthename.com. Now, our guest tonight is Dr. Avis Attaway, who is an expert on how to substitute our poor habits and replace them with other habits that cause us to be more successful. Her website, she has two, is brainscienceofstress.com, and her other website is her name, Dr. Avis Attaway, and it's spelled Avis, A-V-I-S, V is for victory, and Attaway is A-T-T-A-W-A-Y. So it's dravisattaway.com. Now, Avis, this is the part of the show where we interpret a portion of our guest's name. Are you ready?
Oh, love it. Yes, I'm ready.
Okay, so your name has a lot of repetition of letters in it, which I found very interesting. It tells me that you're very spiritual, that you have the ability to help others accomplish anything that they would like to accomplish, that you're constantly learning how to get wiser and smarter and use old tools in new ways. It says that at the same time you're athletic, that you're learning how to be even more athletic. So it's like you're challenging yourself in that department to constantly succeed. It says you're a lifelong learner, that you have a tendency to be a workaholic, and yet you can make a great couch potato at the end of the day, that you can also be overly sensitive to criticism, and that you have a natural charisma around you and are highly independent. That's just some of what your name says about you.
Wow, I love it. That resonates just about on every level.
So, Avis, tell us how you got started and what transitions you had to make to end up where you are today.
Well, when I was only like 19 or 20, I discovered astrology and a very sophisticated esoteric philosopher named Dane Rudhyar. And I began studying and reading yogic philosophies, and I just became enamored with the possibilities of the mind and I've been a student of consciousness, really, essentially, all of my life. And eventually, I got to a point in life where I decided to take on a career. And so I returned to school for a master's in marriage and family therapy. And not that long into it, I started to realize that the model that they taught us in school sort of didn't pay a lot of attention to the spiritual component, because they sort of equated it 20, 30 years ago with religion, and you always avoid topics of religion and politics, right? But I started to see that was a neglected aspect in the therapy that I was doing with people. And that got me circle back around to spiritual studies again. And then in my doctoral program, just seeing that, like Carl Jung talked about, whatever is hidden in your unconscious is running your life from the shadows, and you're going to think that that's fate or destiny until you bring that out into the open. And when I read that, I really identified with that. I thought, yeah, that's what my driving force is, to helping others to do what I've done in this journey, which is to excavate what's in there, what's hidden in the shadows, bring it into the light so that then you are conscious of what you're doing and you can make conscious decisions. After that, it's just an attitude adjustment.
So would you say, in your understanding, that consciousness is just another word for awareness?
Gosh, this is getting heavy. I would say that, yeah, close enough. I would say close enough. I mean, you still have consciousness, even if you happen to be unaware because you're sleeping, for example. But I think for practical purposes, you could call it awareness, yes.
Okay. On your website, Avis, you speak about people who have constant money woes, and they don't think that money will consistently come in. So there's a lot of anxiety around money. And that when they do make extra money or enough money, they think it's a fluke. So how would you start working with a client that held that belief?
Well, first we'd look at where the origin of those beliefs come from, because as you start to unpack it, people will tell you the sorts of messages that they heard as a child. You referenced earlier the idea that we're programmed. That's my word too. We are so completely programmed, and it's impossible to sort out where what message came from and when, but we're a compilation of all of that. So we start with looking at the fact that you're holding certain beliefs that if what's happening in your life doesn't line up with what you believe, you'll make it line up, because we have to be consistent internally. Otherwise, we feel out of sorts. So we will literally create our circumstances of our life to line up with what we believe, at the deepest level. So it always goes back to the mindset and the beliefs, and really challenging the truth of those beliefs. Saying I love, is that the truth, or is that just what you believe? And so when we start to unpack that stuff, we find out that it isn't necessarily the truth. It's just something that we embrace. Once we think about something, we sort of fall in love with it and marry it because it's our idea. And so then we just make it our part of our belief system, and we don't open that package up again and look at it again unless we're sort of forced to. Usually I meet people when they're at that place of they're being kind of forced to look at it because they're really unhappy with their results and feeling stuck and like they're just in this repeating pattern.
So do you find that after you've coached with somebody on their money issues that they've got a new money story and that they're able to do better?
Sure, because they realize that it's not what's been happening to them. I mean, there's a tendency to believe that life happens to us and we're just fending off life. But what I always say is it's not what happens to you, it's what you do with what happens to you. And as people begin to step into their own personal power, they begin to recognize that they've had a habit of just sort of succumbing to the bad news as it rolls in, instead of setting an intention and holding firm with that intention for as long as it takes, until they see the fruit that bears. And once they see the fruit the first time, then they're a believer. They realize that they have been just sort of giving up all along the way. Things don't go well. We have a set amount of time we're willing to wait or hang on, and then we say, oh, this is foolish. It's like the old saying, parents or grandparents might say, well, I just don't want you to be disappointed. I don't want you to get hurt if you aim too high. And I say, aim high, shoot for the stars. Then at least you hit the moon, right?
Right, exactly. So you also identify the imposter syndrome on your site. So how does the imposter syndrome fit into your coaching, and what can people do about it when they feel like they're just faking it, even though they really do know something? Talk to us about that.
Well, that's, the imposter syndrome is that belief that I'm a fraud, that everything that I've done has just been a fluke, and it's an accident and I'm going to be found out. And so, we circle back around to the realization of who they think they are. And we have an idea of who we think we are, and it doesn't always line up with who we want to be. And so we work on changing their awareness. And a lot of that comes from helping an individual to see outside of the box they put themselves into. They say that the directions for getting out of the box are on the outside of the box. So this is where a coach comes in, right? Because the coach could say, hey, look, I'm reading the outside of the box, and it doesn't agree with what you're saying. because people have a tendency to really to sell themselves short. Most people do. I mean, there's narcissists out there that we've all met, and we know one or two that don't do that. But helping a person to recognize their achievements, and then once again looking for the where does that come from that you're diminishing that. There's a thing that people have, which is a performance compulsion, and this performance compulsion, they believe that if I just do this thing, if I just am this perfect person with perfectionism, if I am just like the caretaker for everyone, I'm the people pleaser, whatever it is that is a person's thing, that they will then get the love that they're craving, which is, it's a story from childhood. And to help them realize that they are perfect just as they are. This is the deep work part of the coaching. But when people begin to get a sense, and that's where we go inside, and they start to become comfortable inside their own body, sitting with themselves and realizing that that's home, that's not a dangerous place, that's home.
That's interesting that you would say about people pleasing, because I had to smile because I thought you have some of that in your name. So
do I? So I know all about it, and I am an expert.
I kind of look at it because as different things come out, I mean, I'm looking at your name and seeing where those lie, or where that belief system lies. And with as many A's as you have in your name, by the way, if somebody has 4 A's in their name, it indicates that they have a high level of spirituality. So I thought it was very interesting that you said that that's what you've always been interested in.
Yeah, I love that. I love that confirms that. Yeah, I've always wanted to understand, what's it all about and where do we come from? And, which ended up taking me sort of outside of organized religion and, into the study of consciousness and, experimenting through various hypnotherapeutic and meditative practices to just experience. Our minds are boundless. I mean, they talk about outer space, but they say that inner space is probably so much greater than anything that outer space could ever be. We haven't even begun to tap it.
That's what they say about the sea, too, that it's so much greater and more to explore than out there in outer space.
Right.
And we need to take another break. Stay tuned to Know the Name, Know the Genius in You, which is being heard on xzbn.net, an X-Zone broadcast network station, and on the website, knowthename.com. Now, this show is dedicated to developing better habits that lead to more success. So after the break, we're going to find out more about some of the different ways that Avis has utilized her coaches to help her be able to grow more effectively. And that's why she's coaching also. Stay tuned.
Path Home Shamanic Art School proudly presents the Gathering of Shaman 2019 Fall Retreat, Manifestation Samhain. Join me, certified shamanic instructor Gwilda Wiyaka, in the magnificent Colorado Mountains this November 2nd and 3rd for a life-changing event. Participate in unique teachings and ceremonies that'll put the power and magic of shamanic manifestation into your hands. Sit in circle with like-minded individuals, sharing group energy and the power it generates. Classes will be held in a facility next to the beautiful, majestic Arkansas River, further empowering the experience. Space is limited, so reserve your spot today. For more information, visit findyourpathhome.com or email touchin@findyourpathhome.com.
Whether you're a skeptic or a believer, join me, Rob McConnell, as together we'll investigate the world of the paranormal and the science of parapsychology here on the X-Zone Radio TV show on XZBN and the X-Zone TV channel on Simul TV. Since 1990, the X-Zone Radio TV show has been the place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard. Together, we'll investigate UFOs, aliens, ghosts, Bigfoot, psychic phenomenon, lake monsters, conspiracy theories, government cover-ups, the truth embargo, alien abductions, ESP, haunted locations from around the world, and so much more. With over 28 years of broadcasting and more than 4,500 individual guests, the X Zone is truly a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality, as evidenced by the credibility, integrity, and professionalism of the guests that we bring to our international audience. If you have seen a UFO, had a close encounter, seen a ghost, Bigfoot, lake monster, or a story that you would like to share or have investigated, contact me, Rob McConnell, by sending me your email to xzone@xzoneradiotv.com, or you can call toll-free 1-800-610-7035, extension 143, and on Skype, X Zone Radio TV. For more information on the X Zone Radio TV show with yours truly, Rob McConnell, visit www.xzoneradiotv.com or www.xzonetvchannel.com or simultv.com and xzbn.net. Until next we meet here in the X Zone from our broadcast center and studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, always remember, X Zone Nation, keep your eyes to the sky and your heart in the light.
Welcome back. I'm Sharon Lynn Wyeth, and you're listening to Know the Name, Know the Genius in You. Our guest tonight is Dr. Avis Attaway, who can be reached via her website, brainscienceofstress.com, and by her name, dravisattaway.com. Avis, you imply that our happiness is inherent upon our thoughts. So like Vincent Peale, you're advocating positive thinking. How does one go about eliminating those negative loops of self-judgment that people can have in their brain?
Well, I believe that what happens is that we have come to subscribe to, if you will, certain beliefs without questioning them. And the most rational, like cognitive behavioral therapy practice is really just to begin to challenge these ideas and these beliefs. I mean, so often you'll hear people say, well, I'm just not this, or, I always do that, or, they have beliefs about their life that have just kind of come out of nowhere, but just circumstantial. Like I was quoting before, somebody actually said to me, Sharon, well, is that the truth, or is that just what you believe? And it struck me so hard that you have a feeling, and this feeling leads to a thought, and then you say this thought, which somehow makes a statement about that feeling without really saying, I feel this way. You make a statement, sort of summarizes how you're feeling in that moment. And that statement is going to almost always be limiting, because you're really responding to a discomfort within yourself and you're trying to explain it away. And I think once you begin to understand that there are feelings that drive your thoughts, and then it's a circle, and then you hear yourself say that thought out loud, which creates a feeling inside of you, and now you're in this loop. And so you have to interrupt that loop in some way or other. And it really, there's two ways to get at it. Like I said, you challenge the credibility or the truthfulness of that thought or idea, or else you really take a look at that feeling and where is that feeling coming from, and what is it really saying about what you're needing for yourself in life. So either place is a way to make an intervention.
I love that word, intervention. So it's kind of like interrupt it, and put something else there.
Yeah.
So what are some of the habits that people ought to develop to be more successful? I mean, what kind of habits make somebody successful?
Well, I would say that the number one habit for success in any arena of your life is clarity and setting an intention. So first you have to, before you can set an intention, you have to have some clarity about what it is that you are setting your intention for. But the act of setting an intention is, I think, just wildly overlooked. It's so important because it's as if it focuses your attention, and not just your attention, but your whole energetic being gets focused like a laser on this thing that you're saying that you want. And it's like you just claim it and you state it and you just intend it, that this is, I don't stop until this happens. This is what I want for myself. This is what I'm trying to accomplish. This is what I'm going after. And the setting of the intention gives you a track or a course that you're on, so that you're not just kind of aimlessly, meandering, and particularly not aimless and pushed off course by the first thing that comes along that seems to be an impediment or an obstacle. So when you've got an intention and you're holding it, which you could call it like a goal, but it's bigger and deeper and broader than a goal. Your goals would come out of your intention. But the intention is like the thought, the energy behind, what am I doing? This is where I'm going. This is my intention.
I love that word, intention, because on the top of my, what once was a chalkboard, but now they have like whiteboards or other things.
Yeah.
I used to have the words written really, really large. I intend to learn math today. And every time they're looking at that board and I'm working off of it, subconsciously they're getting the I intend to learn math today.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Let's open the brain.
Yeah. You are literally setting a course, because our minds really do want to have a direction to go. Otherwise, we're just sort of like a receiver for all kinds of noise that will come in, and we give our attention to this, and then we give our attention to that, and we feel scattered. And when you've set an intention, then you feel yourself almost come into focus. And then at that point, your behavior begins to, I think, in a much more natural or organic way, your behavior sort of falls in line with what you've said that you want and where you're going. And so you don't attend to the things that don't support your intention.
Right. So how important do you feel mentors or coaches are in developing one's business?
I think they're critical. And I have come to appreciate my coaches so much, because it's like trying to, cut your hair in the back. You might be able to do it with scissors and a mirror, but oh my, I'm not sure how it's going to turn out, right? I mean, you can build a business without a coach, but why would you want to? It's an investment. And that investment is, you're paying somebody who's traveled that path. So, that's important that you work with somebody who knows what they're doing, and they can see what's ahead. There's a lot of things that are just common practice, good practice for business or for life. And other people can see so much more clearly than you can. We can't see ourselves, right? Like we can't really hear ourselves or see ourselves. The same is true of our business and what we're doing sort of automatically. So a coach will guide you and encourage you and challenge you to stretch further than you might otherwise. Like, if you lift weights and you have a coach or a personal trainer, I always work out so much harder when I have a coach, because they'll pile those weights on and we move from one thing to the next, and and I think it's important that a person be coachable. So, there's no point in having a coach if you're not ready to open yourself up to that feedback, knowing that that person's working for you.
Yeah, and they want you to succeed.
Sure.
So would you share some of the mentors that you've had while developing your business, and then what you've learned from each one?
Sure. I started out with Rachel Jane Groover, and there was a lot of spiritual work there, and getting grounded and getting in your body and breath work, and then putting that stuff into practice as you got on the stage and develop your message, because this is a work in process, a work in progress. We're constantly evolving as people, and so our message continues to evolve. And from after Rachel Jane, I coached with Suzanne Evans, and later with Suzanne and Larry Winget around speaking, and also the practicalities of building my business, and all kinds of things that are not hit and miss. I mean, there are formulas for how you get this stuff done, and business is a numbers game in the end. You just the variable is you. Are you going to do what you need to do, right? So, you plug yourself into that system and just let that system run, and you just go. You can be assured that if you do the steps that are required in business, that you're going to get there as long as you don't quit. Quitting is, quitting takes you out of the game. And more recently, I've been working with Jace Souter, and he's a terrific coach and speaker. And we've done a lot of pushing the boundaries and pushing the limits and doing, ropes course and, walking across a gorge 100 feet over, across on a cable and all tethered up, and which doesn't sound like much unless you're terrified of heights, and I am, or I was.
I think it sounds like a lot anyway, simply because there's no safety in that.
Yeah, right. I mean, you're not going to die if you slip and fall. You are cabled, you are tethered, but nobody wants to fall. You don't want to be slipping off that cable, and so you confront these fears, and fear is fear. I mean, if you're afraid of walking across a gorge, or you're afraid of getting up on a stage, or you're afraid of calling a potential client, it's, fear is fear. And once you survive the fear, you come out the other side, you're like, wow, yeah, another layer pulled back, it's really.
No, it just means, okay, done that, been there, done that, and don't have to do it again because I proved you could.
Right.
That's the thing. And I think walking across those gorges, like I've done on monkey bars or monkey streams, whatever. There's 3 ropes, 2 for your, one for each hand and 1 for your feet.
Yeah.
And my big thing is just don't look down.
Yeah. Yeah. Keep your eye on the goal, which is the other side, right?
Right. Keep your eye on the goal or up. Whatever you do, you just don't look down, because looking down makes you freeze.
Right. Right. Yeah. Your body will take over and you're going to go into freeze mode. Exactly.
Right. So, and I got to meet you at Jane Powers' event.
That's right. And we met there, and she was another influence in my life. Jane is a powerhouse. I mean, her name says it all. You probably had fun with her name, right?
Well, yes,
she's amazing.
A fabulous name for herself.
Yes.
And she says in her book, Speak to Sell and Sell with Confidence, that there are copycats out there when you sound just like your mentor, whereas otherwise you're mimicking is when you take the formulas and you apply it to your own unique voice. And I think that's really important to work with a coach, but also not to be a copycat, but instead take the formula and apply it to your own voice. And we need to take our last break, so stay tuned to Know the Name, Know the Genius in You on xzbn.net and knowthename.com. Now, after the break, we'll find out what Avis has in her name that has assisted her that you just might have in your name as well. Stay tuned.
If you are looking for a safe, zero-calorie natural option to the harmful artificial sweeteners on the market today, Just Like Sugar is what you're looking for. Just Like Sugar is a wonderful natural alternative for those health-conscious people who choose a calorie-restricted diet with a great, pure, sweet flavor that tastes just like sugar. Just Like Sugar is a great natural option for people suffering from diabetes and may be useful in restricted diet programs where standard sugars are not allowed and does not cause a laxative effect of some other sweeteners. Just Like Sugar comprises a perfect blend of chicory root fiber, natural calcium, natural vitamin C, and Just Like Sugar's sweetness comes from the natural flavors from the peel of the orange. Just Like Sugar is a natural alternative to harmful artificial sweeteners and will change the way that you believe all natural sweetener products taste. Just Like Sugar is available at your local Whole Foods markets, Wild Oats markets, Henry's, Sun Harvest, and many other fine natural food stores in the U.S., Canada, and worldwide. They are here, and they've been here for thousands of years, making their presence known in the shadows. They might be seen by a lonely motorist on a deserted road late at night, or by a frightened and confused husband in the bedroom he is sharing with his wife. But who are they? What do they want? Why are they here? Perhaps most concerning, has the government been aware of their presence all along? The new book by Ellie Marzulli, UFO Disclosure, The 70-Year Cover-Up Exposed, delves into the world of UFOs. Can full disclosure be soon? Order now and receive a free hour and 37-minute DVD on the UFO phenomenon. UFOs are real. Get both the book and the DVD, a $40 value, for only $19.99. To order your book and DVD today, go to lamarzulli.net. That's LAMARZULLI.net.
You have heard of the X Zone? Now watch it on Simul TV, plus 500 video games, live TV channels, free video on demand, worldwide, and more. Does this sound like tomorrow's television? Well, it is, but you can have it today, right now. It is Simul TV. Simul TV offers what the others only wish they could provide. 15 exclusive channels like X Zone, sci-fi, and horror. We are worldwide. No other provider offers that. 500 built-in video games. No need to have an extra expensive system. We have them included. Free video on demand. Live streaming events from around the world, interactive online network, and much more. Tomorrow's TV today. Simul TV. Sound too good to be true? Well, it's not. You can have Simul TV today. Sign up at simultv.com. Do it today.
Welcome back. I'm Sharon Lynn Wyeth, and you're listening to Know the Name, Know the Genius in You. Our guest tonight is Dr. Avis Attaway, whose website is brainscienceofstress.com, and she has another one that is her name, Dr. Avis Attaway, ATTAWAY.com. Now, you can find all of her contact information and her websites on my website, which is knowthename.com, under the tab that says schedule. And you just come to the Thursday and click on the date that you heard this show, and there it is, all of her information and the link so that you can hear it on the X Zone. Okay, so did you ever, Avis, not feel comfortable in your own skin? And if that was the case, how did you turn that around?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I spent many years feeling not comfortable in my own skin, and it was actually, it was an experience with a hypnotherapist friend of mine that helped me to discover what was really at the bottom of that. And I know it might sound unbelievable to some of your listeners, but we went back to my first year of life. I was in the crib and just discovering where this feeling of not good enough, really just feeling invisible, actually came from. And it was just a simple event in which, not bad parenting, but my mother was busy with, my sister had polio throughout her entire body. And my grandmother was what we now call, had what we now call Alzheimer's. And she was.
Just a second, Avis, could you put your mic down below your chin a little bit? Because we're getting a lot of static.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
And so what I discovered is that I had formed some beliefs about myself because I cried and cried and cried and nobody came. And there was a opportunity for healing that in that session with my friend who was a hypnotherapist. And in that moment, what I was able to do was to be released from it. I finished those emotions that had been running inside of me all those years, quietly running in the background, that made me feel, invisible and not enough. That did not feel good to be in my body.
So it's nice sometimes too when you've gone through something yourself, so that you're able to help coach somebody else through it because
Absolutely.
You've been.
Yes.
Absolutely. On your website, you mentioned how important it is to simply talk. As so often on your website, you're saying, just let's talk. So can talking with a coach actually solve a problem or create a viable solution?
Well, it can. And what you arrive at is what is really running underneath the surface, and then what steps need to happen after that. So sometimes it's something more than talking to get that issue resolved for that person. But it has to start with exploring what is their belief system, how is that affecting them today, how is that showing up right now in their body. And as you discover the whole package of what they're struggling with right now, then you're able to come up with a solution and a plan to resolve that. And that might involve some deeper work, which will involve them going inside and exploring and resolving. And it might just be really just a realization that they've been believing a lot of things that have not served them, and beginning to kind of rewrite their mindsets and expand their beliefs in terms of, it's what we think about all the time attracts more of that to us. I mean, energetically, if you are constantly focused on a red Volkswagen, for example, because that's what you want to buy, have you ever noticed that this thing that you want to buy starts to kind of show up in your life? Everywhere you go, there's red Volkswagens on the highway, and you think, I don't want that anymore because they're everywhere. But it's like you attract to yourself, like attracts like. And so if we don't want more of something in our life, we have to look at the energy that we're sitting in and the emotions around this thing that we're talking about. If you don't want something, you need to not be talking about it. You need to be talking about and focusing on what you do want. That shifts the energy and attracts what you want to you instead.
I'm curious about that red Volkswagen. I think they all the time, all those red Volkswagens, but until you wanted one, you didn't notice.
Yes, exactly. I know, it's the most amazing thing, really.
So talk to us about your book, The Image Maker, Transforming Your Life from the Inside Out. What did you want your readers to know by the end of the book, and what does your book offer or teach?
I wanted the reader to recognize that you can take a kind of a organized look at your life and at your experience. And so I say from the inside out, because I start really on the outside and work inside. I work inward. When I start out talking about your external appearance and how it affects people. And, studies have shown that good-looking people actually get lighter sentences from judges when they're in court. That it matters how we appear to others. And that doesn't mean you have to be a beautiful person, but that we need to pay attention to that. And then I just go sort of like each chapter, I just sort of move more and more inward and more deep into the internal experience, and also weaving in the importance of spirituality and how what's really fueling you. And if what's really fueling you is a desire for true wholeness, then that's going to ultimately connect you back to a creator or a source, whatever it is that you want to call it. So I don't preach a particular religion, but I do believe that that we are all like satellites, little spiritual satellites of a greater life force, and that we're here expressing that greater life force in this life. And I think that when we make a connection like that to this force, and we begin to realize that what we're doing every day of our life is expressing that through us, not only do you feel not alone, which is a huge thing, but you feel empowered because you're not alone, and you're being fueled by this force that, created the universe and more. You're an expression of that.
So you have a free gift for our listeners at your website, Brain Science of Stress. Tell us briefly about that. What can they get there?
There is breathing exercises for that are both guided audio, and there's a PDF there too, just to walk you through these breathing exercises that will begin to take you inside, slow you down. And about 4 or 5 years ago, there was some research done around breath work. And what they found was just 10 seconds of intentional focused breathing, not just sitting, casually breathing, but that you set your mind to do some breathing, that in 10 seconds you can flip from fight or flight into a state of calm. And that's why I call it 10 seconds to change. Because if we'll do that, then everything starts to slow down and we start to feel connected internally and calm.
You know, in Leonard Orr's book, Breaking the Death Habit, he talks about 8 things that people who want to live longer need to do. And he only interviewed people that could prove that they were at least 200 years old and able to get the commonalities. And the first thing was how much they focus on their breath and how much time they take on a regular basis to focus on their breath.
Wow. I love that.
Yeah, that was one of the things that all 8 of them said was highly important if you wanted to live longer. And also the second thing they said is that you can't always be around people all the time. So
Yes, I would agree with that. And I would just add this real quickly, that when we have anxiety, which is rampant, 40 million Americans have anxiety, we are really not exhaling. So if you think about it, like you get afraid and you go, and then you get afraid again, you go, and pretty soon you kind of sucked in all this air, but we need to let it out.
That's fascinating. I have not heard that before. Well, Avis, I want to thank you so much for being with us. I appreciate you taking time to share with our listeners all of your knowledge.
Thank you so much, Sharon, for having me. I've really enjoyed it so much.
So Avis Attaway's website again is Brain Science of Stress for her freebie offering. And remember, it's a Dr. Davis Attaway. So her website is her name, but remember to put the doctor in front, the Dr. Avis Attaway, because if not, you get something that says this website's up for sale. So make sure you've got the dravisattaway.com. Now, Avis's name indicates she's constantly learning something new. This is shown by the number of A's she has in her name. If you have 3 or more A's in your name, you too are constantly learning something new. Another way that shows up is the S at the end of a name, also an Avis. So she's a constant learner because she has 2 different ways that shows up in her name. Do you know where your genius lies? I'm Sharon Lynn Wyeth, host of the radio show Know the Name, Know the Genius in You, which can be heard every weekday at various hours right here on xzbn.net radio and X-Zone Broadcast Network and on knowthename.com. So tune in to hear the fascinating ways that other people have discovered the genius in themselves and what they were able to accomplish. If you wish to learn more on how to read a person's name or to know more about your own name and how you can discover your innate genius, visit the website, knowthename.com, and give yourself the gift of a session. It helps you to live to your best and highest when you find out what your name says about you.
How would your life change if you could develop the business and personal skills that you need in order to make more money? Do you want to learn how to achieve your big life goals faster? Then go to findhiddenmoney.com and get the Goal for It online course. The course teaches you how you can set and achieve your biggest goals while completely overcoming the roadblocks to your goals so that you can realize your dreams and imagine more success. Go to findhiddenmoney.com.
Memorable dynamic presentations are a not-so-secret weapon in the business world. Do you have a powerful message that must be shared, but you haven't found a way to deliver that message? Do you want to be known as a top public speaker who gets amazing results? Are you ready to create and deliver your powerful message? Thomas Hides can help you create and deliver your speech to get the results you desire. Visit iconquality.com.
Did you expect your business to flourish, but instead it plateaued or didn't get off the ground yet? Would you like to achieve massive goals and discover new sources of income within your business? When you're ready to experience that type of success with fast results, Cindy Hendricks is the business coach for you. Her work with entrepreneurs and business owners has been life-changing. To get you and your business where you want to be, go to imaginemoresuccess.com.
Has the fear of public speaking stalled your business or personal life? What would you give to develop and maintain supreme confidence? Have an invaluable private program to always perform at your best. Imagine how you would feel. You can have all that and so much more today with Thomas Hyde's life-changing course called Number One Fear Unleashed. Visit numberonefear.com and be liberated from your fear of public speaking.